actually is like. So yeah, I mean, provide food, provide housing.
Well, the Republicans and Democrats just spent $900 billion the coronavirus bill, and we all got $600. We sold our souls because that's war with Venezuela. So I guess $30 million to go to war with Venezuela.
And there's one more thing too, which is increasing the minimum wage to also for a third thing to hit the most hard hit, to affect and remedy the exact place where it needs to hit is like increase minimum wage across the board, not just 15 in New York and California, and basically more homeless shelters, more food stamps.
I would think land reform is my baby.
Excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying those three things eliminate the poverty just as well as UBI, but maybe better.
I think land reform is my baby. UBI isn't my baby. Just that those are the only two ideas that gets rid of poverty head on. It's kind of like what do you do for a pandemic? Right. What do you do? Let me finish. What do you do for a pandemic? You get universal health care. What do you do for poverty? You get them money.
Hell yeah. No, exactly. That's really smart. I mean, the land reform thing too. I mean, it's vital. Like we're talking about, like Wendell Berry could have some ideas on that, and then he already has put some ideas out on that. And
those two things are under fight poverty. Because if we don't have land reform and we don't have UBI, then we got to do something. And I feel like you're kind of being a little incrementalist.
What is land reform again? I think, let me make sure I know what you mean.
Give land out to people that don't have it. Okay. The people that have way too much land, or the land that's just sitting there.
Well, how about this? I have an idea. What about if you're a corporation and you have a real estate portfolio, you don't get the same whatever. I mean, obviously it's like you get a first home buyer kind of deal, and there's different deals which are already like helping people like this. But how about if like some people can get like land for, I don't know, like okay, in Missouri where I'm from, you can get the government to pay for 80% of a pond or lake. If it's the right kind of clay soil, because they want those, they just want the Missouri Department of Conservation wants that. So it's like, I'm saying is like, if you're in this part of this program, you get 80% of it paid for, but like, or even just some kind of law that like, in terms of real estate, people who are doing this kind of investment, buying and selling, people who are just going to be holding on to land, not using it, or buying land and chopping all the wood off of it, or people who are in other ways like, buying multiple landlord situations, those people can take advantage of less loopholes and just do it like that, like make sure, because I think one thing that prevents people from having a place to live is a bunch of people who have empty houses and empty apartments and empty just land that's just there for them to invest, and it's just another asset, like, I don't know, but that's kind of like my idea, like that super PACs should be taxed like 35-40% to tackle that problem, because that's a huge problem. Money out of politics, well, just go ahead and tax super PACs, or tax any kind of super PAC activity, 40%. If they don't comply, then fine them $1 gazillion. I'm sorry.
Just get rid of super PACs. Why do we have them?
Well, it seems like they always innovate a way. So right now they can work themselves into a little of a pickle, because
what about
they've made these super PACs legal. So now that they're legal and they're formalized, okay, great. Now we're going to tax the crap out of them.
What about public finance elections?
Well, I mean, that's what that will be, is that 40% tax out of the super PAC. There's so much super PAC donations per year right now. It was that 40% of that tax on that, on top of that, would be plenty sufficient. Kind of like
so I'm saying you're in favor. Are you in favor of it? You're saying yes.
I'm in favor of what?
Public financed elections.
Yeah.
So okay, there's I don't.
That's kind of similar to the ranked choice voting topic, which I think we're both for.
Well, no, I think we probably need both now that we're thinking. I mean, how do you get money out of politics? That's a major problem with democracy. Money's always going to be there, right? Then the Supreme Court says it's speech, so no matter what law you pass, you can't get rid of it. So you'd have to set up I think public finance would be awesome, because I think it'd be cheap, and then everybody, gets a chance, and you get your word, and everybody gets equal time or what have you. It would encourage more people to get out there, more ideas, more voices, more choices. Yeah.
Right. When people think it's real and fair, more people will participate. When people think it's all just,
I don't know. Tell me if this sounds right to you. I heard that there's only 5 or 10% of Americans that don't have health care. So we basically have, most Americans have coverage, but there's millions. There's 14 that just lost their health care, and then there's I think 58 million perhaps that don't have health care in America. But ultimately, that's only 5 to 10% of the population. So the question,
I can't afford it.
My question would be: would you be okay with the public option? because the public option would extend the Medicare for the 5 to 10, so therefore that would be universal health care. Technically, it'd be universal, but you don't like that universal.
I'm Bernie or bust, and I'm Medicare for all or bust, and this party is completely not negotiating with me on those terms.
Oh, I'm not negotiating with you as a party at all.
The party is not going to force me to consider things in those terms without dichotomy or like just compromise or whatever. Because no, Medicare for all, universal health care, Medicare for all, like that way.
I think I'm more for universal basic income. Get rid of poverty.
I mean, that sounds nice. But I think it needs to be investigated.
No, I'm with you. I'm like you now. I think I'm just going to be no, I'm not going to negotiate it. No exceptions. What, you want me to do this and that? No, people need to live. And if until we fix that problem, then you're just going to let people die. You're like, they're homeless.
If you end up wrecking the economy, inflation turns everything into a depression-era situation, then people are going to die as well.
True, but a Green New Deal, part of the Green New Deal is the environment, right? We got to cut back emissions and this and that, but it's also housing and jobs and education and healthcare. Housing? What has housing got to do with the environment?
A lot.
Okay, so then what about poverty? If we give people enough money to live on, you think that would help with health outcomes?
I think it would.
So get rid of Medicare for all. Get rid of Medicare for all. Just give people a check. We can take care of our own. We don't need the government taking care of us. The government ain't done shit for me my whole life. The government has not done shit for me my whole life.
It's a Band-Aid. It would be a nice Band-Aid. Really soft, nice Band-Aid for me.
Universal basic income would not be a Band-Aid. $2,000 in everybody's pockets. $2,000 in everybody's pockets.
Like I said, it would create more problems. First of all, they could start fracking more and drilling more oil and burning more coal so they can pay us.
So can Medicare for all with the taxes that you get with that. So you the same arguments that you use against UBI.
Trickle-down theory. Oh, yeah, hypothetically everything's going to work out. Same thing. It's trickle down. It's like, hypothetically everybody's going to go green technology because UBI? No. The green technology is going to happen when people pursue green technology and sustainable utilitarianism.
I think when you give people a chance, then they can breathe and start to stretch out. But as long as they're poor and starving, all they want to do is run and get food, and they're not thinking about they're just a hand-to-mouth existence. The greatest, richest nation in the world, and we got people here that just hand-to-mouth. The reason, and that's intentional. Capitalism needs poverty someone's got to sweep the floors and make the burgers and do all the cheap, labor that a lot of people don't want to do. So.
Do you know who Martin? Do you remember the guy Martin Shkreli, the guy that that pharmaceutical?
Yeah, the guy went to jail. They threw him in jail for fraud.
If you watch him on Vice News, he's like, I just wanted to raise awareness that people could do this, and I was like, bullshit. But then if you really watch the interview with him, it's like he really kind of was. He was just trying to show that he really feels strongly that people there's this. He said the way he said it was. There's capital extraction, there's wealth extraction, and that's what they're in the business of doing, all these sort of companies. And there's also, there's a book that was released in France a couple years ago by this, it was really it was the most famous book out there at the time, and it was something called Economics or something, and it was his whole book, it was this huge page book about economics. I forgot exactly the title. It was the whole premise was the whole basically point behind it. They said was that the two most profitable industries in the world, most businesses, most things have a certain rate of profit, but the two industries that are these egregious amounts of profit, insane astronomical amounts of profit, beyond everything else, are insurance industry and real estate industry. Those two industries, that's kind of the secret. Those are the secret spots where all the money, so much money is generated out of real estate and insurance. And the Martin Shkreli pointed out that they're just doing wealth extraction. This is just wealth freaking extraction. So and the people sitting in Congress on both sides of the aisle have been sitting there orchestrating and architecting a situation where their buddies profit tons, and the small guy suffers. The small fish all been eaten already. They pretend like it goes back and forth, but it doesn't. It's really just one way. It's really just the big fish, the big guys on top doing well, getting everything written, the laws written for them over and over and over for decades and decades and decades. It's never ending. And yeah, of course, there's a lot of poverty now at the end, back into that stick, and they want to tell us all kinds of things, keep us all kinds of distracted, have us all arguing about a bunch of nonsense, and watching a bunch of soap opera-like drama in our presidencies. And apparently, the Democratic Party is particularly interested in sending senile as F people into the White House. That's what they like them. They like them nice and senile, like nice and cuckoo and old. So that's all we're going to see probably for eons in terms of, since Obama hated the last young one, we're just going to see 20 more years of freaking 80-year-old, senile, cuckoo, puppet on a strings Democrats.
Where are you at? How come you're not in foray? You just try to, you know, some people, like the poverty, people that's in poverty can't just bow out of politics. They're confronted by a political reality every day.
Exactly. Politics, that's why I keep coming back to it when I try to, like, leave it alone, is just that it's like it relates back to so many important things. So how am I not going to think about it? When am I going to not think about those important things? Am I going to not consider future? Because politics is thinking about the future often, as George Santiana pointed out. You know, I think that the main things that can be changed, what everybody already agrees on, we have Green New Deal, healthcare for all.
No, apparently we don't. We don't agree. We don't agree on the number one issue. We don't agree on the number one issue, and I feel like that's like maybe the problem that we're having because the Ben Dixon says no. Why Medicare for all? We need reparations. We got to fix racism first. That's the most important thing for him. And for a lot of people, progressives, I mean, me included, I think sickness and poverty, I think they're both terrible things, ailments that we need to attack vigorously. So I feel like both UBI and Medicare for all, and I think we could pay for it out of that damn military budget. We're also, we don't do as much deficit spending as we could do, so I think we could probably borrow a little bit more than what we're doing right now. But Democrats like to spend a ton of money, so we got to be careful. Liberals do, so you got to be careful not to finance anything and everything, and then wind up having no money for anybody. Where are you at on economics? You read Milton Friedman? Huh?
Tax the rich or eat them.
Do you know any economists? Like, cause I took I don't know if you went to college, but like there was they had a class about macroeconomics. So they just kind of just drew the big strokes of like what society, you know, how the economic functions of society and how that works. And Milton Friedman, it seems like you can't understand economics until you come across Milton Friedman. The next one I think would be Keynes, John Maynard Keynes. So I feel like economics.
Those guys, really.
I think all economic.
I studied economics a little bit. I had an economics class. I got an A in my economics class. I went macro economics class or micro economics class.
You know, a trigger for me, and it's a stupid one, but like people that say economics instead of economics.
Oh well, you know, mobile.
Yeah, I mean, some things are just like just a slight variation in speech, not a big deal. But I feel like economics, that sounds like professor talk to me. That's a professor. You're repeating what a professor said to you, and then it's supposed to sound smarter, but I feel like it doesn't sound smarter to me because it's supposed to. Just say economics. I'm working class. Nobody does economics out here. Hey, you do some economics? No, none of us do. Anyways, that's just a trigger.
I was trying to think what that's called, but I'm thinking of college words, so I better be careful.
No, it's just a small little trigger. I feel like it's a little elitist. Like if you had a choice, like God, there's some other word that's like je ne sais quoi. It's like you could say it one way or another way. Data. It's data, right? Yeah. But it's data. Data sounds like it's adding airs. It's putting on airs a little bit.
Yeah, but if you're in IT, it's probably more appropriate, I assume.
Well, it depends on if everybody's saying it like that, then you're the weird one for saying it working class. But if I just said it by itself, I don't know. I come in from Kentucky, so we got Louisville, and you're supposed to say Louisville. That's how you're supposed to pronounce it with two syllables, Lawville. But it's named after King Louis the 16th. So it wasn't King Law, the 16th. So I don't know. I feel like sometimes people mispronounce words just so they can, Nietzsche. People have done that to me with Nietzsche. It's actually Nietzsche or some shit. And it's like, can we just talk about the ideas of Nietzsche, or are you better than me because you say it differently? You're right. I mean, I don't hate that. That's okay. I don't feel like that's putting on airs. It's probably the right way to say it.
I say Nietzsche. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, there's what about Adidas? How do you say Adidas?
Like that.
No, that's not the German word.
My favorite author is Montaigne.
It's not
I said it. I read it. Montana. What did I used to say?
Right. No, that's what it looks like.
But it's like I was at this party in Portland a long time ago, 2010. It was like a Halloween party off from couch surfing, and like there was this French dude there, and he was like, "Why you Americans always put the vowels at the end of the words?" And he was like so exasperatedly like frustrated that I pronounced it that way, and so he corrected me and told me it's pronounced Montaigne. So I've been corrected.
Ultimately, the point of language is communication. So we could get bogged down by saying, you didn't say that right, your grammar's off, but it was like, yeah, but my house is on fire, motherfucker, so I don't know if I didn't dot the T or strike out the damn whatever, but get a bucket of water, we got shit to do.
Yeah, usually, yeah. Well, I mean, you gotta, that's all important things you're saying, like, about the direness or everything. That's why I believe in, the action needs to happen, too. But it's like also we have to take time for freaking being civil and,
I think we need to be civil now. This is the time to be civil.
Nixon's main issue and your main issue both be heard. Maybe you need to talk to Ben Dixon once.
I don't know about that. I think that we need to be.
Tim Black referenced him, so I watched him.
I think we need to be civil now before the revolution or the Civil War or Korea attacks us, before this Kung flu, this tiny little virus beat the shit out of us. And we're the greatest thing in the world. We think of ourselves so fucking highly, and yet, what if it was AIDS? What if it was airborne AIDS? And we needed to get our shit together and we're all going to fucking die. Would we have done it? It seems like we would have fucked that up too.
Yeah, it's definitely should be a wake-up call, kind of like the Democrats and how corrupt they are.
Oh, no, I already knew that. I feel like, I don't know. I don't want to go too Chomsky because, like, if you just keep attacking all the progressives, what if Jimmy Dore, he's just a grifter.
Neoliberals.
Jimmy Dore's just grifting, right? Just taking all that money from everybody. So he's a good entertainer, and he pointed out the right direction, but he's not going to save us.
No, apparently not. He's only got 11,000 live viewers, and he's like 30 million.
He's only got 40,000 signatures on the Force the Vote petition.
30 million people paying attention.
40,000 signatures. 40,000. That's the reach of Jimmy Dore. So basically, just probably like a couple dozen assholes on Twitter. Is that the extent of Jimmy Dore's reach?
Yep. I mean, compared to the drop in the bucket, compared to Rachel Maddow and her ilk, you know what I mean?
No, it's just always, you gotta make sure you don't deify people, you don't, raise them up to God likes. We're all humans, and Jimmy Dore.
Yeah, it does.
Well, I mean, right now Jimmy Dore is, because he's the one saying the right idea and the right thought, and this moment is either gonna pass us up or, I mean, it probably already has. So, I don't know. I feel like I'm winding down.
Yeah.
I got
we both definitely agree on the urgentness of it all, but you know what I mean. We have our disagreements. I think that's good and healthy. Like I said, she could Ben Dixon in here talk about his thing, and we can all hear him. It's good just to be heard sometimes, man. So thanks for hearing me too.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man.
Went on and on sometimes. I tend to ramble on tangent.
Well, here
Shit about shit.
I think a big difference is you're in Oregon and I'm in Colorado, so when I feel like, well, what do we have in common? Like, we have some things in common, but ultimately I go to a different grocery store, I get my water in a different place, my doctor and healthcare situation, it's all different. I mean, it's similar, but it's different.
It is. It totally, I mean, it's freaking Colorado is its own thing, it's its own world out there.
It's awesome, man. It's fantastic here. I feel like, I mean, when I think about, like, Kentucky, there's like, Democrats run Colorado, so things are working right. We're all talking civilly, and even cops, I got nice things to say about cops now, but I didn't have anything nice to say about them there because they were all just absolute fascist dickheads for no apparent reason whatsoever, so... Yeah, man, the urgency for Kentucky and like these backwards, they're kind of fucking themselves in a way. But I think of like how many other Johnson, masters are stuck in Kentucky that are good and liberal, progressive, and want to change shit, but they look around and all they see is a bunch of racist, right-winging, ignorance and bullshit, just a bunch of dumb bullshit.
Yeah, you can't stereotype and look at everybody because there's always people out there that aren't gonna fit Like it's not gonna be just everybody that's all just the same. Like but there's more of them. There's more of the, and I mean, in any kind of small location, you got people power tripping and stuff, and thinking that they're so powerful with their little sheriff, vice sheriff. I don't know.
There's fiefdoms
from Montaigne. I was looking for a different quote where he talks about being civil. He's like, I could carry on discussing stuff all day. People are being civil and whatever, and it's like orderly. But real quick.
Yeah. Throw out the quote, and I'm gonna get off it.
All right, cool. That's cool. Yeah, I gotta go eat some lunch. So it says, he says, blah blah that held a certain honorable office at Rome. He should apologize by adding that he did not say so out of ostentation. This touch seems shabby to me for a soul of his kind, for not to dare to speak roundly of oneself shows some lack of heart. A stout and lofty judgment which judges sanely and surely uses its own examples on all occasions as well as those of others, and testifies frankly about itself as about a third party. We must pass over these common rules of civility in favor of truth and liberty. So sometimes there's a point where you don't want to, civility gets in the way, but at the same time, he also argues, like, in the same essay, Michel Montaigne, about the art of discussion, or sometimes art of conversion, or something. But anyways, he argues also that, I could discuss civilly all day, whatever. I forgot the quote. I was trying to read the quote. He says it really nicely.
No, that makes sense. I could talk civilly all day. Eventually I got to get to work and I got to eat and I got to make sure my stuff. So I think I like to. Here, let me throw this idea at you. Milton Friedman, he said that with capitalism, because you give, $1 or whatever for the piece of bread, or I give an hour for, the $10 or whatever. It's like it's an agreement. We both agree on the thing. Therefore, it's better. It's a better foundation for a civilization. It's more honest because it says you get this thing, I get this thing. Everybody walks. It's win-win for both people. Whereas communism demands, or more liberal, or they're more about the community. I don't know how you think about liberal versus conservative, but MLK, he had said that we need a synthesis of both of them. But I feel like, my God, we ain't even allowed to talk about socialism in this country. So it's like, how far are we off from, just a mixed? I don't know. I went somewhere else there. I like
the Thomas More utopia kind of sense that everybody goes out and works for like 3 hours a day.
I know what I was saying. I feel like capitalism is all about the individual, and communism is about the community. And I feel like.
Right, I love that you said about MLKs too, man. I see that, man.
Well, that's what capitalism forgets about the community. So, okay, make your money, do this and do that, but are we all doing okay? And I don't think capitalism asks that question.
Right.
Do you see that? Do you agree with it? Or?
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have any good really examples of communism to say, hey, look at how this worked out. Capitalism's been around since before it was even called capitalism.
Well, I don't know. I mean, my understanding is one's the brain and one's the heart. So one is, okay, we want everyone to get fed and we want everyone to have housing and this and that, but we only have this amount of resources. So the capitalist is more the brain and the communist is more the heart. And I think you need both. I think you need both. You need to give a shit and you got to look at the resources and, utilitarianism, do the best with what you got. Caring about the community and caring about the individual, too.
That's like, remember, I think when we were just hanging out and talking, before we were talking, I read the thing about, I read you something about, it was like Heel Cabron. It was like about joy and sorrow.
Yeah, the cup. I remember you said the sorrow, the deeper the sorrow, it's like a cup, and you dig deeper, and then you could you could put more happiness in it. Something like that. I understood the general idea.
Reason and passion.
The cup was very.
Real quick before we go.
What? Go ahead.
And the priestess spoke again and said, "Speak to us of reason and passion." And he answered, saying, "Your soul is oftentimes a battlefield upon which your reason and your judgment wage war against your passion and your appetite. Would that I could be the peacemaker in your soul, that I might turn the discord and the rivalry of your elements into oneness and melody. But how shall I, unless you yourselves be also the peacemakers, nay, the lovers of all your elements? Your reason and your passion are the rudder and the sails of your seafaring soul. If either your sails or your rudder be broken, you can but toss and drift, or else be held at standstill at mid-seas. For reason ruling alone is a force confining, and passion unattended is a flame that burns to its own destruction. Therefore let your soul exalt your reason to the height of passion that it may seem, and let it direct your passion with reason that your passion may live through its own daily resurrection.